Afternoon, good evening, whenever you're seeing this. It's evening for me right now. It's 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday night. And I've started to enjoy going live, so I'm trying to do it a little more frequently. I get a lot of requests to go live, so here I am going live. Almost every time I come on live, I don't have anything I want to talk about, although this time I do. I want to talk about serial killers. So we're going to talk serial killers today, and anything and everything that people are asking about. But we're going to talk some Dahmer, some Gacy, some maybe Bundy. But no one's in here yet, so I want to let it fill up before I continue to blab to myself or, to the future people watching this not live. Hey guys, welcome in. 2 people so far. Maybe I didn't. Usually I go live a little later. Maybe I should have waited a little bit. It'll fill up, I'm sure. What's up, Jason? Hey, Jeff. What's up, Jeff? Good to see you on here, my friend. I guess some people saw. Hey, Tiffany's on here. All right, Tiffany. I just commented. Tiffany, you maybe should think about starting your own page. And I don't mean that like I love what you're doing over on Facebook and our group, but man, you've got an eye for it for sure. And maybe you need to start spreading that info away from my page. I love it on my page and with the subscribers, but I think you could take off. You got the eye for it, even if you're not doing what I do, where you talk in front. But I think you should, and maybe you already are. I don't know. Anyway, I'm talking to my buddy Tiffany on here. She is finding like left and right people who play other people. It's pretty impressive. Like on a level faster than I am, I think. But the cool thing is you're hitting on all these people that I don't know, and I don't mean that rudely. I just like, I'm a guy. I watched certain movies. Like people that I pick out playing other people is because I've seen them in movies for years, and I have that facial recognition. Phyllis, I am doing great. Thank you for asking. I'm going to go live maybe for an hour. And, before some people started hopping on, usually I don't come on with an agenda. I just kind of want to answer questions and chat. But I want to talk serial killers a little bit today. And only because it's one of those things where I don't have a good grasp on it myself. And I'm going to just let it fill up just a little bit more before I kind of get into that. Excuse me. Where's the video of JD and Erica? On every single platform I have. I did it maybe 5 days ago. And anyway, for people who are not in the know, I did a video on how, look, JD Vance is Josh Duggar from 19 Kids and Counting. No doubt in my mind. Same facial markings. He's supposedly in jail. He's JD Vance. And now maybe there was an original JD Vance, but he has now taken over that role. And he had a wife named Anna, Josh Duggar did. And now she has taken over the role of Erica. And I think the video I did, it's really hard to deny if you have an open mind. Yeah, Tiffany, same thing. You and I just obviously have watched and enjoyed other people. So it's cool that like you're hitting on some of these people you're putting up I've like never even heard of. So that's why sometimes I don't respond right away because I'm like, I don't know. What's up, H2O Storm? Okay, so serial killers. The inventor of cornflakes. I don't know what you mean by that. So I want to just take you through my thought process on serial killers. Okay, obviously before I woke up to just the deception of the world, I thought they were totally real and legit. I grew up like a half hour north of Chicago, 40 minutes north of Chicago. So I was relatively close to where the John Wayne Gacy murders happened. And then I was also relatively close to where the Jeffrey Dahmer murders happened because, one was in Milwaukee, which I was probably equally as close to Milwaukee as Chicago where I lived. And then the John Wayne Gacy murders, My girlfriend in high school, I don't remember if it was her aunt or her mom, like literally lived on the street that stuff happened on. So like there was no doubt in my mind serial killers were real and killed all these people. And then when you wake up and you realize that the tool of the enemy isn't murder, it's not killing, it's deception, it's, lying and deceiving. And like, especially when like I think a freshman in high school when the OJ stuff happened with the OJ Simpson and Nicole Brown Simpson. So again, I fully believed that happened, that Nicole Brown Simpson died. But then as I'm exposing these fake deaths all the time, these fake suicides, these fake overdoses, these fake whatever in Hollywood and the music industry, one of them I did for sure is the Nicole Brown Simpson is Megyn Kelly, the newscaster Megyn Kelly. So Nicole Brown Simpson didn't get murdered, definitely not by OJ because she didn't die. So then when you think that, you're like, oh, well, if that is fake, if that's completely fake, a lot of the school things are totally fake, well, then maybe it's not out of the question to think that the Jeffrey Dahmer murders are fake and the John Wayne Gacy murders are fake. And those are just like distractions and fear tactics. So I went from thinking they were totally real to thinking they were totally fake. But then I discovered vampires are real, and like, so now I'm thinking, I remembered seeing months and months ago that bones were found, tons of bones were found under Benjamin Franklin's house. And, they have some lame excuse that like before he lived there, there was like, a mortuary or something like that. But like when you realize vampires are real, and I can't prove how they live long. I can't prove that. I think there's some blood stuff involved, some abrenobrome, as I like to call it. And I do think there is some spiritual aspect to it, like tied into the fallen angels somehow. Then I go back to, okay, maybe those murders were real. And these are like vampires that have lost their control, or they're bad at hiding it, or they're like, like just have such bloodthirst and lust that they're just like going off the handles. So then I'm thinking it's real again. And I'm just walking you guys through it. But then again, you look to see that the John Wayne Gacy thing is like 33 boys is what he was tried for murdering. So then you're like, okay, well, then again, is it just total deception? So usually where I feel like I have a great handle on what's real and what isn't, the serial killers are throwing me for a loop. And I'm not going to lie. And, and like Christian Bale is involved in that because like they found a body in his yard. And I know he's a vampire. Or if, like to me, vampires, like I call them vampires because it's just like, it's easy to think of because we all know what vampires are. But I do think originally they are the fallen. They're the fallen angels and they're here. They're here with us. But I do think like there is half vampires and maybe regular people like you and I can become half vampires by drinking vampire blood. I don't know. That stuff's speculation. But I know without a doubt that there are beings here that can live much longer than normal human life, without question. Fartree, good to see you back on here, my friend. I tried to advertise this one a little bit. Thank you for the donation contribution. I tried to advertise this at least like a half hour before I come on. I'm such a fly by my seat kind of guy, like, or fly by the seat of my pants. I like lost the phrase for a second. I hate committing to things. So for me, if I want to go live, it's like I just want to be in the moment, feel it, and go live. Flat earthers, not so much. If you still think you live on a globe, my friend, then you got some serious research to do. Nothing's spinning, nothing's curving, nothing's moving except the sky clock around us. That's real science that you can prove. None of the globe nonsense. But anyway, back to serial killers. And I don't know if I have much more to add to that other than the Christian Bale aspect is like I'm sure that Christian Bale was also Harold Ramis, aka Egon from Ghostbusters. If you look up James Brolin, Josh Brolin's father, that's Christian Bale. Like, and they're not clones. It's just these undying beings that can either shapeshift or disguise themselves or, you know, go get older and then get younger. I don't know. But what I'm getting at with Christian Bale is I also think he plays Gary Oldman. I was watching the Batman movies last night for research. And not only, so I was watching the one with Bane, The Dark Knight Rises with Bane, who is played by Tom Hardy, who used to be John Belushi. I've proven that. And Christian Bale, who used to be Egon, but I also think not only is Christian Bale Egon, but he also plays Gary Oldman. If you look up old pictures of Gary Oldman, it's Christian Bale. And also, when you think about it, Gary Oldman played the original, like Bram Stoker's Dracula, the one with Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder, who are both vampires or fallen angels. They've been around a long time. Thank you, Goy or Goyam. I can't see Goyam. My eyes are so bad on this phone. Thank you. I appreciate it. So anyway, I'm going to do a video coming up pretty soon. I've already done one on Christian Bale, but I'm real sure that he's also Gary Oldman. But here's the twist to it. I think if you guys have seen the movie The Prestige, where Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman are in it, the big secret of the movie is that Christian Bale has a secret twin brother. And I think that's duplicating real life. I think that's literally Christian Bale. That entity also has a twin entity here. And I think they take turns like aging up and then age reducing. That's what I think. I also think that's maybe why like that dude can go from like fat to skinny in like the blink of an eye. If you see him in like Batman Begins, and he was in The Machinist like months earlier in like rail thin. It's because I think they're using two different people. And I think they told us that in the movie The Prestige. Find Demaryius Thomas. So he might be back in the NFL. And thank you, Bobby, Bob Money for the contribution. Here's why I think there's a chance he could be in the NFL is because I think that there's a good chance that Sean Taylor is Sean Taylor was supposedly got murdered, like a break-in at his home, and I think he potentially is. His name is drawing a blank. He just got traded from the Cowboys to the Packers. I can't think of his name. I'm sure it'll come to me or someone will say it. But I think there's a good chance. Like if you look at pictures of Sean Taylor and the defensive end linebacker that just got switched to the Packers. Yeah, Micah Parsons. Thank you, NJ. Micah Parsons, Sean Taylor. Look them up. I need to do facial markings, but I'm pretty sure they're the same people. Just like, Kobe's playing football. I know that sounds crazy, but he is. All right, guys. So, pics of old men bailed together. Well, yeah. I mean, when you're using TV and internet as like proof of things, you got to not use it as proof. Like I don't use it as proof on a level of like I use things that they would never put out as truth, like things that like they're not adding extra facial markings to pictures, but they would create a fake picture of two people playing the same role and like put them next to each other. I literally took a picture of myself and then I put a hat on backwards and stood on next, and like I created with no technological ability whatsoever a picture where it looked like I'm standing next to myself. That stuff's not hard. And they've also had AI for hundreds, thousands of years because it's not artificial intelligence, it's angelic intelligence. Have, thank you again, Goyam. Have I talked about the upcoming fake alien invasion in any of your videos? No one has urgency on what's coming soon. They got us in checkmate. I mean, I have probably 20 times over the past 2 years. I have, yeah. I did a lot. I haven't in a while just because I've kind of gotten away from that a little bit, because I was talking about it 2 years ago like it was coming any day. And I don't know. Part of me thinks that's just like they're just kicking the can down the road and it's more to distract us. Like everyone knows about Project Bluebeam now. Like that's not even like that's like mainstream now. That's hardly even, I think they want us to know about that. But I will tell you what I've said about it. So what I've said about the Project Bluebeam stuff is because it has become so mainstream, I think there is a chance that something, like maybe, Jesus and the camp of the saints are going to come back and they're going to want the truthers saying, hey, that's Project Bluebeam. And they're going to want the people still asleep in the Matrix saying that's aliens, so maybe it's going to be something very spiritual and they want the awakened people to think it's Bluebeam and the non-awakened people to think it's aliens, just so everyone's confused. Yeah, Jeff, the third temple being built at the White House. Yeah, and I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it literally is in the design of Solomon's temple too. And I've said this so many times on videos and lives and things, but I'm a huge believer that we're living past the millennial reign, and anything right now coming that seems like biblical prophecy is all being faked. So they can, excuse me, usher in a fake return of Jesus. That's what's coming. I don't, and maybe that will be done with Bluebeam, but I think the ultimate plan is to usher in a fake Jesus, a fake Messiah. That's biblical, but I think, the millennial reign already happened. I think there's pretty good evidence for that. I think that's what they call the Dark Ages, when Satan was literally locked in the bottomless pit. That's what they call the Dark Ages because Satan wasn't here deceiving people. So what would they call the Dark Ages? When Jesus was actually here. And we can talk about till we're blue in the face if his name's actually Jesus, but who we all know is, like the Messiah, whether you call him Yeshua or Jesus. I mean, basically, you can argue till you're blue in the face about that, but he knows your heart. That's what I concern myself with. So I've been ignoring these questions a little bit. Let me take a look. Yeah, gang stalking is for sure real, my friend. Just put on the full armor of God, fast, pray, get in the Bible. Like that stuff is real. Prayer and prayers for protection are real. I never got gang stalking, but I was getting spiritually attacked like big time, like sleep paralysis and like nasty, like demonic stuff going on when I was waking up. And it wasn't until like I became fearless and just put on all the armor of God and used the last time I think I was spiritually attacked, I used the name of Jesus. And I haven't been before. And it was like a feminine presence that messed me up. And I don't want to get too deep into it, but man, if you've never had sleep paralysis, especially if you never even heard, like I had it when I had never even heard of it. I woke up completely paralyzed after just like wrestling in blackness with this demonic entity. Like I was like ripping at its face, and I woke up and like all I could do is like see. I couldn't even like murmur for my wife. I was like totally paralyzed, and it almost feels like your soul has left you and you become conscious again, but it's like your soul is like coming back. Cause I truly think I was, I don't know if I was astral traveling or in like a different realm or what, but yeah, my friend, gang stalking's real for sure. Just fast and pray and, get into some scripture. Yeah, Susan, same with you. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of evidence, and that's why for a long time, I was like, well, they don't allow the name of Jesus in underground military bases. They don't allow it in NASA. People have literally used the name of Jesus to stop spiritual attacks. Personally, I have. So to me, there is power in the name of Jesus for sure. A lot of people really are strong that his name isn't Jesus, but when you've used that name and it has worked to thwart off evil entities, it's hard to not think that he at least acknowledges that name. Come here, Gimli. I'm sorry, I can't. Is it Juice? Just? Thank you, my friend. I truly appreciate any prayers coming my way. Truly appreciate that. That's so kind of you. Like so many people, guys, it humbles me so much that people understand that, I'm just trying to help and I'm just trying to do good in this world. And unfortunately, a lot of the way that I do good is by exposing evil. So like I'm posting a lot of dark stuff, and my goal is to see the light through the dark. Like my favorite Bible quote is Ephesians 5:11, have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of evil, but rather expose it. I might have to let my dog out. He keeps barking at me. I let him out right before this, so this wouldn't happen. But Gimli, come here. Come here. I was hoping to be on longer than this, but if he keeps barking at me, I might have to cut it short. Inspirational lavender fields. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. So the movie They Live, and thank you for the contribution, storyteller. I've been thinking about that movie. It's a great movie, with Rowdy Piper. And just recently, I like thought about the name more of it. They Live. If you think about it, it's like maybe they're just telling us they live endlessly. They're living longer than the rest of us. They live. Not just, it's like, you don't think of it on that level at first. You think of it on a level of, my dog's trying to get a ball. Far Tree, thank you. Thank you. Guys, I'm going to put this down for 1 second. So when my dog stops barking at me, I think he is mad he can't get a ball. I'll be right back. And I'm back. Sorry about that. He might start barking again, but let's see where I'm at here. I was in the middle of something. I don't remember what. Oh, I was talking They Live. Yeah, I mean, Roddy Piper himself even said that movie's a documentary. For sure, there's a lot of truth to it. And, when you think about that movie at the end, he blows up like this giant tower sending frequencies out. And, I truly do think they have the ability to shapeshift or disguise themselves. And I don't know if that's a physical ability or if it's technology, if it's frequencies being sent that kind of like humans can't see through. I don't know, but they're telling us something in that movie about it, because they blow up the tower and then they can see in the movie, I think they're aliens or whatever they are, but they're not aliens here. That's for sure. Aliens aren't real. Aliens are not real whatsoever. But there's one other thing I was going to say about that movie. Oh, the thought I had with it is, for some reason, when I saw the end of that movie, I thought of the Eiffel Tower. And I was just thinking, the Eiffel Tower is pretty centrally located. Like if you look at a flat Earth map, and it's a weird tower, right? Like that thing just looks like it is meant to send out a signal all over the world, maybe that's the tower that needs to be blown up to have us be able to see through their hologram, their disguise, see their true nature. And I think their true nature is, I think they're fallen angels. I think that's truly what they are. Let's see. Goyim says 3-eye Atlas is third eye. At last, they just said it keeps changing colors and changing shape. They're going to use dues. They're going to they're man-making events in the Bible so that we think the Bible. So it's the Bible and submit to what they see in the sky. Yeah, I think you're pretty on point there for sure. And like the 3-eye Atlas thing though, like every year there's something in the sky they're talking about. There used to be there was something else called, it was like, my dogs do this every time I go live. They're so chill until I do this. Let me just show you. Dudes. Golden doodles, they're crazy. What was the last one in the sky? It was like the black cube, black pyramid, black something. They're like, it's been there for millions of years. There's always something. So I don't know. I don't let myself get caught up in their hi doggies. I don't let myself get caught up in their fear nonsense. I just don't. I don't at all. Hey, let me get rid of this guy because you don't belong in here. Let's user see ya. Sorry, there's no reason for people to be in here that are rude. Not at all. What else we got, guys? Are vampires fallen angels? Yeah, so I truly think there are fallen angels here, but there might be different classes of, like fallen angels, but then maybe like half vampires. Hold on, I'm gonna mute this a second so I can get them to stop. Sorry. I did see a question I want to answer because it was something about Trump and Patton. Was Trump General Patton's? So this is what I think about. I think that Trump was Elvis, 100%. There's no doubt in my mind there. And I think Patton was like his own entity. And I think potentially when Elvis transitioned to Trump, there was intentionality behind making him look like Patton. Because Patton was this war hero. He already, he had the respect of the country. So I think having like a familiar face would make it easier for him to be loved and adored. And so that's my opinion. I don't think there's any relation there, but I could be wrong. I can only speculate on that, but I don't think he was Patton, but maybe. I haven't, I need to look for facial markings. If I can find facial markings on Patton that match Elvis, that match Trump, that would be pretty epic. Jasmine, that's a good question. I just posted something yesterday, and who knows how legitimate it is, but it was talking about literally like nanotechnology that can go inside of you, and it's like by the year 2030, death is going to be a thing of the past because these nanotechs can literally kill off bad cells and repair bad cells and this and that. And I've always thought that these celebrities that can live a long time, maybe it's fallen angel, but also the abrenobrome, because they say that, abrenobrome can literally reduce the age of your skin. And if your skin, the biggest organ in your body, can age reduce, maybe the rest of you can. However, yeah, maybe it's just tech. Maybe they have technology that can literally just like age reduce. I don't know. This is stuff I probably won't ever know. You know, like I can prove certain things. I can prove Trump and Elvis were the same entity because why in earth would they have the exact same markings and facial structure and all this? And why would Trump all the time be talking about Elvis? So that stuff I can prove, but I don't think I'll ever know the answer to exactly how they do it. Fartree says these live streams are really helpful because we got to see who's real. Does that mean me? Like you're seeing because I go live that I'm real? Yeah, guys, I honestly I don't know, I don't say this with arrogance or anything like that, but I don't know if there's, like my wife and I have a channel now. We try to just share stuff from our lives. I was a teacher for 20 years. You can research that. I'm just a dude that woke up 2.5 years ago with a fire up my ass to help expose the stuff I was lied to about my whole life and that we were all lied to about our whole lives. And for me, I didn't believe in God for 42 years and I was afraid of dying. I hated getting on a plane because I was afraid I would die on it. Now I have no fear of dying. And you know what did that to me? Realizing that I didn't live on a stupid spinning globe and I wasn't evolved from a chimp. And then on top of that, like I was just given a gift of facial recognition too. So I went from only doing flat earth stuff until I figured out Jim Carrey was playing Joe Biden, started posting on that like crazy. That took off. Then I figured out Benicio del Toro was being played by Brad Pitt. And then it just like steamrolled after that. I just kept seeing them one after another. Like once your mind is unlocked to that stuff going on and you're not under a spell anymore and you have my facial recognition ability, it's like every single day I'm just like spotting stuff and having revelations and praying and fasting and things are just like happening and I'm an all or nothing guy. I always have been. Like I'm all in on this because I want to help. I'm all in because I want to help. So, I don't know. There are a lot of other people out there that are fakes. There are for sure shill masons pretending to be truthers and they're trying to muddy the waters and trying to give misinformation. And yeah, I could be wrong here and there. And I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. But the last thing I am is a liar. And the last thing I'm trying to do is confuse. And the last thing I'm trying to do is muddy the waters. I'm the real deal all the time. And I got nothing to hide from anybody. Yeah, I think God forgives you if you repent. Repenting is important. I think a lot of Christians think you're just good if you believe in Jesus. No, I think it's really important to fast and pray and repent and not be a shitty person. And if you are a shitty person, feel bad about it, try to do better, and, ask for forgiveness. I enjoy the distilled water. It makes sense like rainwater. So it's funny you say that. My wife is dog sitting this week, and the family has an reverse osmosis set up on their whole house, and it's new. And we tested their water, and it was terrible. Like how is that possible? Like, have they gotten to the reverse osmosis like water companies, and they're just people think they're getting clean water and they're not. But I tested it with my water electrolyzer and it was terrible. But yeah, distilled water tests great. Purified water tests great. A lot of the sparkling waters test great, but it's only because they're testing for metals. They're not testing for microplastics and forever chemicals. But distilled water is the way to go, in my opinion, or purified too, because purified, you still are getting some of the electrolytes. But man, I recommend every single one of you 534 people in here. I don't recommend Amazon. I hate Amazon, but go on Amazon and buy. It's $9, I think, $9.99 maybe. That's funny because there's a $9.99 sign on my thing right now. Pretty sure it's $9.99 on Amazon. It's called a water electrolyzer. Everyone should have one so they can test the water they're drinking. because I researched and I got this great epic water filter that I thought was great. I was giving it to my dogs. I was drinking it for 2 years, and then I tested it and it was dog crap. So, man, yeah, test your water. Don't just trust someone saying this is good. Here, this is good. I installed a reverse osmosis water thing on your sink. Test it, people, for sure. All right, guys. What else would I flat earther here, awesome master fish. I was literally just gonna say I don't get to talk flat earth enough anymore. When I used to go live back in the day, a year or so ago, like that's all people wanted to know about. But it's almost like everyone who follows me now is already a flat earther. It used to be like this thing that people couldn't wrap their head around, and they would ask me about how does this work? How does that work? Like trying to figure it out. But maybe it's just because I do so much of the celebrity stuff now that the flat earth stuff isn't at the forefront of people's minds. But anyone in here not a flat earther, let's go that route. Anyone in there or close and you have questions on anything, I wouldn't mind talking biblical earth. Yeah, so most people are going flat. I think if you follow me, I mean, with my name being Fittest Flat Earther, I think a lot of people who follow me probably are on that train. If I think we're in a simulation, can I explain your theory? I don't. If we're in a simulation, it's God's simulation, not some stupid advanced computer system. It's God. God set this place up for us to maybe for our souls to come be tested, for our spirits to have an experience in these bodies. It's God's simulation, not some advanced alien beings. No advanced computer. Sean's a flat earther. Awesome. So I did a video, I think, proving heaven is real. You should look that up on any platform. Just type in I proved heaven is real and it comes up. And I think I proved it scientifically. I truly do. It's one of my favorite videos I've ever done. I think heaven is a physical place, and I think I proved it's real. Yeah, pilots. The funny thing is, not all pilots know, but most pilots, I think, know. And I think they're also sworn. I think they have to sign things to say, saying they won't disclose it. Donald Duck was founded in 1934, and they say Elvis was born in 1935. Yeah, I saw the Donald Trump upside down. Looks like Donald. Yeah, that was wild. I've seen the one thing I can actually draw that I learned to when I was a kid was Donald Duck. How funny is that? And then when I saw that Donald Duck flipped upside down looks like Trump, I was like, that's wild. Some of the things that I've sorry, I got distracted. Doxological thinker, thank you, my friend. He says, he or she, I'm 100% flat earther, but one thing I've always wondered is how do lunar eclipses work? There are celestial bodies up there that they don't tell us about. Okay, so like the black hole sun is a big occult esoteric thing. Potentially there's other celestial bodies that we can't see with our eye. So I think there's some of that stuff going on. But I don't know. What I do know is, people are always like, well, we know the Earth is a globe because the shadow on the moon during eclipse is round. I've proven over and over again, you can create so I'll take a square picture frame and I will shine light on it and then let that shadow go over a tennis ball or a volleyball, and it looks like a round shadow. A square picture frame will look like a round shadow on a ball. So I'm not saying that, we live on a square picture frame, but it disproves the fact that the shadow on the moon proves the Earth is a globe. It's total nonsense. So anyway, I was starting to say, I'll get back to it because I kind of forgot my train of thought. Melissa asked, do I know where we are in the biblical timeline? I mean, I was talking about this earlier. I truly think we are, for a lot of Christians, never heard of Revelation 9/11, where Satan is released from the bottomless pit and then goes to deceive. I think in Revelation 20, verse 7, it talks about how he's released to deceive the nations for a little while. And I think that's where we are. I think there's a little while, probably hundreds of years. I think it started probably in 1776, the year the Illuminati formed, the year supposedly we, declared our independence. It's not our independence, or our freedom. It's Satan's freedom. It's Donald Trump's freedom from the bottomless pit. So I think we're living in that time, and maybe 2030 is the end of it. And maybe that's why they keep, maybe 2030, we're hearing all about 2030. Maybe that's the end of the short season. But yeah, I truly think we're living past the millennial reign in this little season of deception because, obviously none of us remember, maybe we were here in previous lives. None of us remember prior lives, but I can't imagine that there is larger deception in the world, larger than what we've been living through for the past 100 years. It's wild, like they convinced the entire population of the world that they lived on a spinning ball. Like that is wild. That is so crazy. They convinced us, at least most of us, they convinced me that I evolved from an ape and that cavemen were real and giants weren't real and dragons weren't real. And, like the deception is so crazy. Everything is a lie. Who is they? They are biblical, the fallen angels. Lucifer, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is Lucifer. He truly is. Do I believe in chakras? I mean, chakras are real. They're for sure real, and chakras can get blocked. But, like before I fully woke up, I was doing chakra meditation and trying to clear my chakras. And that's a lot of when I started to get some spiritual attacks, and that's all, it's a lot of new age stuff. I think you're doing some things to basically entertain demonic forces. I think you're opening up I think that stuff is literally opening up windows like psychedelics do to the unseen world that, unless you got the full armor of God on, unless you're prepared, I don't encourage people to mess with that stuff. Have they approached you, Goyim? I'll answer that in a sec. Let me see this other message. Well, let me answer this one. So 2 months ago, I used to do a lot of podcasts. If people asked me to go on a podcast, I just went on a podcast because I didn't have people to talk with about this stuff in my real life. And it was kind of before I started going live, I would do podcasts because I was talking to like-minded people. I went on the Flat Earth Files a few times and went on a whole bunch of ones. But then when I started to realize that a lot of these podcasts were Masonic shills and just liars, I stopped going on podcasts. But so I haven't been on one in, I don't know, 7 or 8 months because I just stopped. But about 2 months ago, 5 different big podcasters, all who I think are Masons. So one of them has a giant G on their license plate. All asked me on their podcast, but they didn't just ask me. They invited me out to LA to be on their podcast. 5 random ones, all in the same month, invited me to LA. And you know what LA is, right? Los Angeles, the angels. It's called Los Angeles because I think that's where a lot of the fallen angels hang out. So needless to say, I said no thank you. And I called a few of them out. One of them was someone I considered a buddy. I was like, this is weird. Why are you the 5th person to invite me to LA in the past month? So yes, I think they were doing one of 2 things. I think they were inviting me out there to shut me up or inviting me out there to recruit me. But I've said this before. I am unbuyable. I am incorruptible. I stand for truth. My conscience would eat at me if I was keeping secrets. Like, I was put in this earth to expose the lies, not to be part of them. So they could throw a bag of $1 trillion in front of me and I would light it on fire. Like, I'm unbuyable. So yeah, I think that was them approaching me. Am I going to keep going even after they threaten me or my family? Hopefully it doesn't come to that. I haven't been threatened. I've never been threatened other than, I get a lot of trolls in the comments and things like that, but no threats. Have I ever considered that the narwhal and pandas are hoaxes? I've seen the pandas are fake thing, and I haven't explored it enough. It's a weird one. That's weird. But if they are fake, I feel like I could probably figure that out pretty quick. I'm just good at detecting stuff like that. But I haven't gone down that rabbit hole just because it hasn't been as important to me, other things. Sue, thank you. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Just no question, just a contribution. Many thanks, my friend. Thank you so much. I find it fascinating how the sun and the moon travel along with you when you drive. Yeah, because they're not physical objects. So the sun that we see isn't a physical object. It is like a rainbow. Okay, so the actual source of the sun is in the firmament, like many layers into the firmament. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a spiritual thing. I don't know if it's a literal light. It's funny too because just last week I saw the Vatican has this gold ball, giant gold ball outside that like spins around in the outer area of the Vatican, and I'm like, is that like a sun? Is that what the sun is? This giant glowing thing up there? But yeah, the sun and the moon that we see are not, they're like rainbows. They're the projection, so like think of this, and I've done videos on this. If you have a paperweight, like a glass paperweight, and you shine your iPhone light in it, you see a little ball of light. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing a little ball of light that isn't, you can't get to it. NASA says they've thrown rockets up to it or whatever, and they say we've landed on the moon. You can't get to it. We're just seeing the reflection, the projection of it. And yeah, I think it's unique to everyone's point of view. Like if I was under a glass dome right now and there was an iPhone light shining and I just saw the light shining on the glass, like I could walk over there and it would like your perspective will change with it. So yeah, it seems like it's following you. And that's the reason the sun goes down, because just perspective. It's circling around us, but the earth is so big that as it circles, it gets out of view, and the further something goes away from you, the lower it gets in your field of vision. And unlike they tell us we can see light from trillions of miles away, it's not true, especially when you're looking at light through compounded atmosphere. The more atmosphere it compounds, the thicker it becomes. Like think of this. If you are driving on a foggy day, you can't see headlights far away. And it doesn't matter if you have a great zoom, whatever, a camera or a telescope, you can't zoom through the fog. It's the same thing with the sun. You can't zoom through thickness and atmosphere. Sorry, I could geek out on flat earth stuff all day. Do I discuss Bible interpretation at all? So, not AFI related. Yes, not a lot. You see, like what people have to understand is I fully believe. One, I believe there has been manipulation to the Bible that is undeniable. Like they've removed the word firmament. That's manipulation. They've changed alleluia to hallelujah, hallel. So there's manipulation in the Bible. I think old Bibles are great resources, and I do think the overall message of the Bible is truth. And I think that's why they hid dragons from us. That's why they hid giants from us. That's why they hid the firmament from us, because if we knew all these things in the Bible were truth, well, we would have a lot better understanding of who we are and where we are. But all that being said, I've only been scratching the Bible for 2 years, and I don't. To me, that's not like while I have a great understanding of like how it all ties into a lot of different things, I don't think I'm qualified to try to lead interpretations of it. I don't. Now, can I pick parts out and be like, like for example, Revelation 9:11. Revelation 9:11 talks about Satan being released from the bottomless pit, and his name is Abaddon. Donald Trump was the ninth or the 45th, which adds to 9, and the 47th president, which adds to 11, 9/11. So, like I can show Bible verses and correlate them to things going on today. But as far as like interpretation, I just don't think I'm qualified yet. And I'm just being honest about that. Yeah, Garth Brooks is definitely Chris Gaines, but more importantly, he was John Wayne Gacy. The Chris Gaines stuff. You know what happened? I think like all these people do. I think these people they all play multiple roles, and I think Garth Brooks was going to play Chris Gaines, and someone figured it out and blew the whistle. And I think they're like, "Oh, it's a joke. We were going to try to like remake his character." I think that was a cover up to just like, you know, the fact that he was going to play a new role. I never know how to get rid of these things on my screen. I don't know if that worked. Okay. Yeah, the sun circles the North Pole, and in the northern hemisphere summer months, it's closer to the North Pole. So think of a pizza. Okay. Northern hemisphere. So like let's say United States, it's closer to the North Pole, and then as the year goes on, it makes wider, bigger ones, and the north gets colder, while the south, like Australia, that's why Australia and the United States have like opposite seasons. Thank you again, Doxological Thinker, for this question and contribution. I like this one. What are your thoughts on a simulated sun being used sometimes in some places? I've seen stories of the sun reflecting have hexagonal patterns. So I, during the April 8th eclipse a couple years ago, I was all over this. And I was seeing other people do it, but I was skeptical. But then, like when you find that there's a NASA patent for it, that's one thing. But from lived personal experience, I was sun gazing at the point of the April 8th eclipse already every day. My eyes never hurt from the sun. Like I had built my tolerance and like I can look at the sun at noon and just stare right at it, and like it doesn't hurt my eyes. It actually like clears my vision. It does great things. I literally will sun sneeze, and I think I'm ejecting demons when I do that. But to the original point, lived experience, I sun gazed. I don't remember if it was the day of the eclipse or the day before, and it killed my eyes. And I felt the sun hotter and closer than I had ever felt it in my life. Like I was in Grays Lake, Illinois in April, which the sun doesn't get that hot in April. And it felt like I was in Mexico in the mountains. Like it felt like I was real close and it was real hot. It felt different. The sky looked different. It was whiter than usual. The sun looked whiter. So I 100% think there is a fake sun that they can simulate sun. And I don't know the purpose. I don't know if there's things that happen with the sun that they don't want us to see because, like if the sun went dark for 3 days, think if the sun went dark for 3 days, like people would be like, what is going on? How is this thing 93 million miles away, burning ball of gas going dark for 3 days? It would clue people in. So I do think they have it because I do think things happen with the sun maybe that they don't want us to know. So hopefully that answers your question. But yeah, it exists, I think, because I experienced it. Elon Musk actually equals Werner von Braun. If you haven't seen my video, that Werner von Braun, the director of NASA during the moon missions, is Elon Musk. Just like Anton LaVey is Andrew Tate, just like Aleister Crowley is Joe Rogan. Like, these are all real findings. Just like Robert Johnson is Denzel, L like Elohim, Denzel Washington. These are the ones that woke me up to the vampires, because it's one thing to fake your death and come back, like Kurt Cobain faking his death and coming back as Rivers Cuomo, who is around that same age appearance. That doesn't wake you up to the fact that these things can live for hundreds of years. But then when you start finding Aleister Crowley, who died, dozens of years ago, or Robert Johnson, who died 80 years ago, and you're realizing he's Denzel Washington, it wakes you up, man, to the fact that these fallen angels or vampires or whatever they are, they're fallen angels. But I do think there are classes of them. I think there's the fallen angels, and then I think, like the vampire movies show us, regular humans can turn into vampires in the movies because they drink a vampire's blood. So I think there's some of that truth mixed in there. Some of these people that have faked their death and come back as other people, I know were real people. Like, I know they were real people because they were like, there's relations to people I know. And like, I know, like Chris Farley wasn't just like this fallen angel who faked his death. Like, he was a real person. And I think he sold his soul probably to be able to come back as Tim Dillon and he'll probably live for hundreds of years now. Is Billy Bob Thornton, do you think this is true? Ed Bradley, 6 minutes, is Billy Bob Thornton. Billy Bob Thornton is not a real person. He is a character played by Daniel Day-Lewis. And that one is awesome that I found because Daniel Day-Lewis has a tattoo, like a dog tattoo. And I found that you can see it on Billy Bob Thornton. So I'm 100% sure that Billy Bob Thornton is played by Daniel Day-Lewis. And a subscriber of mine on Facebook pointed out the other day how Demi Moore is resembling Angelina Jolie an awful lot. Like, same bone structure, same placement. So I think Angelina Jolie is playing Demi Moore. And now Demi Moore is hanging out with Billy Bob Thornton. And who is Billy Bob Thornton close with? Angelina Jolie. So it's like, truly what it is probably Angelina Jolie is connected with Daniel Day-Lewis. So yeah, I mean, there's so much manipulation and confusion of people playing other people, and some people not even being real people, just characters. Billy Bob Thornton was never a real person. He's just a character. Yeah, they really truly are so weird. Barbara, thank you. Appreciate it. You did a video on me, and I'm legit. Thank you. I appreciate it. So I did a video on. Here's what I think. I think that these fallen angels, I think some of them have siblings. Like I was talking earlier, I think Christian Bale in the movie The Prestige with Christian Bale. The big secret of the movie is that Christian Bale's character has a secret twin brother, and that's how they pull off their illusion. So I think that is real life. Christian Bale has played too many, like, Christian Bale looks exactly like James Brolin. And I don't think that's him playing two roles. I think there are two of them, and I think one of them will allow himself to get older while the other is younger. And then as one gets older, the other gets younger. So I think Christian Bale has a twin. Now I think potentially Lucifer aka Trump, aka Elvis, also had a twin. I did a video on this. There are for sure two Elvises. One has a very rounded chin, and you can look up what's the video called? I did it. I can tell you the month I did it in because I did a competition right after it. It was in August, so you'll have to scroll back. It's on every platform, but I show how there's two Elvises. One has a very like square chin. It's like straight across, and the other has a very round chin. Well, the round chin one became Trump, and I do think the square chin one became Bob Joyce. So yeah, I think there are two, and I don't think they're clones. I think maybe, they're twin angels. I think that's what it is, maybe twin fallen angels. And cool that you did a video on me. I'll have to check that out. I'm gonna screenshot your name and I'll check it out. Hopefully you had nice things to say and weren't dogging me. But if you said I'm legit, then thank you. I appreciate it. Let's see. How about Rocket Man Jack Parsons? Corey, thank you. I appreciate that. I have not found Jack Parsons, and I appreciate the question and I wish I had a better answer, but I haven't. I need to sit down and stare at his face. Sometimes that's all it takes for me. Sometimes if they're, like I know Jack Parsons, I know his history, but I haven't sat down and just looked at his face. Sometimes I just need to sit down and look at a face, and that's like when I get triggered. Cloning goes back to ancient Egypt, like everything. Why do you not believe in cloning? Because to me, and let me clarify what I believe cloning, like what people believe in as cloning, I don't think exists. What a lot of people think that like Kanye was replaced by a clone and they just like 3D printed him and like grew a giant, like a full grown human body and replaced him. Like that stuff is like BS, psyop nonsense in my opinion. And I truly just think cloning in general is. Now, can they create a embryo in a test tube and grow it in an incubator? Yes. But that's a test tube baby. That's not a clone. A clone is an exact replica. And no one's creating exact replicas. The only exact replica that exists in Earth is an identical twin. That's it. And they're just not, clones just aren't happening. Now, can you mix some DNA and can you, like I said, put it in a petri dish and grow it in an incubator, like Cabbage Patch babies and things like that? Yeah, but that's not a clone to me. That's a test tube baby. Clones are used, in my opinion, to hide the fact, like the reason they push clones, and they push clones so much, is so when people start recognizing that, hey, there's Hugh Jackman looks just like Keith Whitley. Oh, that's because it's a clone of him. No, it's just the same person and they can live for hundreds of years. They created clones so we don't realize they don't die. And they also created clones so when we think Brad Pitt looks like Benicio del Toro, we just say it's a clone versus no, it's just Brad Pitt playing Benicio del Toro. And this is like, I always get like fired up about this. I don't mean any rudeness, but it's like one of my biggest pet peeves is that how much people believe in clones. And it's like, well, they told us that Dolly the sheep was cloned first. That was the first thing they ever cloned. Yeah, they said that to mock us because the sheeple will believe anything. And then they propagandized the crap out of it with Jurassic Park and Multiplicity and the Clone Wars. Like when they're telling us truth, it's subtle. They're like putting it in between the lines. When they're indoctrinating us, they're forcing it down our throat, like a globe in every single movie, like evolution and dinosaurs and clones. Everyone, like even mainstream people think clones exist because that's what they want. They want you to. Clones don't exist. Not on the level people think. Like more of test tube babies, but not clones. Doesn't exist. Yeah, exactly. If they were actually real, it'd be top secret. They wouldn't be advertising it. Here, come clone your dog. And we've got Clone Aid up in Canada. It's totally fake. And like they say, fake and gay. And I hate that phrase because a bunch of flat earth shills use it. But like Dave Weiss, But it is. It's fake and gay. And like I said, I hate that term, but it fits here. So, and sorry, I don't, I forgot who asked that question. Why don't I believe in clones? But I don't mean to be rude. I don't mean to come at you if I'm being kind of snarky. It's just my biggest pet peeve in the truther world because it's like, and I'm guilty of it. I believed in clones too until I just like started to really critically think about it. Inflamed Goonie, thank you so much. I almost watched the Goonies last night. I was just wanting to watch something like lighthearted and also something I could research. And Josh Brolin is in there, and I'm looking at James Brolin, and I just went with one of the Batman movies instead. And it's funny watching stuff now that I haven't watched in a long time that with my new eyes, and it's like, I meant Jordan or Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in the new Dark Knight, not the new, but the most recent Christian Bale Batman movie, Dark Knight Rises. And he plays a second role in there. I was watching it, I'm like, that's Joseph Gordon-Levitt with like a mask on. And then that's when I realized that it was the same thing with Gary Oldman, was just being played by Christian Bale. So, long story short, yeah, I almost watched the Goonies last night. But thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your kind words. Can you please tell us if Phil Collins is astronaut Scott Kelly? Scott Kelly, I think, is probably a character. Whether I think it's Phil Collins or not, I saw someone else that I thought fit better, and it's not coming to me who that was. But I'll look into that one because I love exposing these astronauts. I would love to find, James Gandolfini, 1,000% alive. I just don't know who he is yet. And some of these people disappear for a while. Like for example, John Belushi died in the 80s. Died. And I don't know if he played anyone in between, but I am 100% sure that John Belushi is Tom Hardy. Dead sure on it. But Tom Hardy didn't get famous till like the 2000s. So what was John Belushi doing for 20 years? Was he playing someone else, or was he hanging out like Robin Williams in a Florida lagoon calling themselves Uncle Pappy? Have you guys seen those videos I've done? Robin Williams is literally a TikToker, a YouTuber, a Facebooker called Uncle Pappy. If you haven't seen that video, go watch that. He even talks about it. He's like, he'll do a Robin Williams imitation and he'll be like, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Conspiracies about me. It's not true. Like, it's wild. He's literally talked about my videos. The funny thing about that is he and I went to the same middle school. Robin Williams and I went to the same middle school, Deer Path Middle School in Lake Forest, Illinois. We went probably 20 years apart, but I have not seen the movie Skeleton Key. I have not. Good homework, I guess. Yeah, I'll check it out. Gary Oldman is Sam Rockwell. Well, I don't think Sam Rockwell is real. I think Sam Rockwell, and here's the thing, I think a few people have played Gary Oldman, but I think Sam Rockwell is probably Edward Norton. I think I've done a video on that. Pretty sure Sam Rockwell is Edward Norton. Check, like, just go look up pictures of them and you'll see it right away. Once you hear it, you'll see it. But yeah, I think if you look at Gary Oldman over the years, he looks different. Like, I think a few different people have played him, but I think Christian Bale played him in Dracula, and I think Christian Bale played him in the Batman movies too. And if you watch, you can see they're, like I just did something where any of you Roseanne fans out there, the show Roseanne, old Becky is new Becky with prosthetics on. I just figured that out the other day. So, Becky was replaced supposedly. But then they have time where Becky meets Becky, but it's always like you see one of their faces and the other from behind, and then the other face and the other from behind. And when I was watching Batman, same thing. Christian Bale is like, they're never in the scene together. It's always like Gary Oldman, then Christian Bale, and then Ori's got the Batman cowl on. And, it's very clearly, if you think about it and then watch, you're like, oh, that's Christian Bale. Um, Zac Efron lab made. I don't know. I don't know. But I don't, like when you see Zac Efron and he looks like a totally different person, it's because he's a totally different person. Someone is wearing nonsense acting as him. Oh, Ashley, there are many Nephilim twins that are produced like Artemis and Apollo. That is, yeah. So I'm doing a video very soon, maybe tomorrow even, on Artemis and Apollo. So check this out. This is awesome. And I owe a buddy that showed me this actually. Well, he didn't. He showed me part of it. So Artemis is also named Diana, and if you look up Artemis statues, this particularly the one in the I don't remember if it's in the Vatican or if it's in the Smithsonian, but it's if you look up Artemis statue, also AKA, and this is like biblical, Artemis is also known as Diana. It looks like Princess Diana. It's literally Princess Diana's face. And then Artemis is always pictured with a deer, like a doe, a deer. And if you guys have seen my videos, I've proven that Princess Diana didn't die. She just became who? She became Melania. So Melania, Diana, is with Trump, who I'm saying is Lucifer, who literally Trump has an Apollo statue in his penthouse. Like, Lucifer is Trump, is Elvis, is Apollo, is Abaddon, is Apollyon, is Zeus, like many different names over the centuries or millennia. But it's wild. It's awesome that you just said that because I'm literally doing a video on how Statue of Liberty used to look like Elvis and the statue of Diana, Artemis, looks like Diana. And those two people are literally married. And then I've also done a video how Baron looks exactly like the statue of Alexander the Great and even also looks like the statue of King David. So, maybe Baron was Alexander the Great and King David. And that's a mind meld if he was actually King David, because then, what's that say about him? Stephen King, part of the club, 100%. All these big time mainstream writers and directors, all part of the club. And like Stanley Kubrick, that dude isn't dead. Like they didn't kill him off because he made Eyes Wide Shut or, he's recycled somewhere for sure. Yeah. So Michelangelo, I think Michelangelo did a statue of King David. Maybe it's not King. Now my memory is fading me. Michelangelo did a statue of David. I thought it was King David. Maybe it's not, but I think it's King David. Maybe it's just Michelangelo's David. I don't know. I don't know. You'll have to look that up. But whatever the Michelangelo statue of David is, looks like Baron. Maybe it's not biblical David. Maybe I have that wrong. Baron looks like the Lucifer statue. Well, that's because the Lucifer statue is Elvis, and he's Elvis's son. Do I think the Super Bowl is scripted? Yeah. Well, so sports are scripted, but I don't think they script them fully all the time. I think they have an agenda. They have a final product they want, and they want people losing money and distracted with bets. So they definitely guide it. And I think probably the Super Bowl is fully scripted, at least the outcomes. But yeah, I mean, sports are totally rigged. David, thank you. I appreciate it, my friend. Much. Speaking of David, thank you for the contribution. Let's see. I have not seen Selena Gomez in her new video. I have not. That's funny. Tyler James Gandolfini. My name is Tyler James, and it says Tyler James Gandolfini. Looked like he was wearing a fat suit in the show. It didn't look natural. Yeah, so some of these people aren't real. Maybe Gandolfini isn't a real person. I'll have to look into that. That's a good hint. I will check into that. Because yeah, like Benicio del Toro, not a real person at all. Played by Brad Pitt, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. I think even Tom Hanks has played that role. And that's the thing, guys. That's how they keep you guessing and keep you confused and keep you out of the know. Is they don't just have one way they do things. They're good. That is their game. Their game is deception, and that's why going all the way back. For those of you, there were only like 200 people on when I said this, but going all the way back to the beginning, that's why I don't know what I think about serial killers anymore. Before I was awake, I believed them. Then when I figured out the O.J. Simpson, Nicole Brown Simpson stuff was a total hoax, and Nicole Brown Simpson is Megyn Kelly, which I proved 100%. Then I started thinking serial killers were fake. But then I woke up to vampires, and then I thought serial killers were real, and they just are ones that, like, don't have their shit together and they get caught. But then, and then people who heard this already, but then when you see John Wayne Gacy supposedly killed 33 boys, then it makes me go back to, okay, is it all just deception again? So I don't know. But to go full circle on the whole thing, I wouldn't say that kept me up. I slept like a baby last night, but that usually I can research things and I can post things and it's like I don't get fixated. I was fixated yesterday on are serial killers real? Because I also proved, I don't know if you guys saw this, Jeffrey Dahmer, who supposedly killed people like 40 miles from me in Milwaukee. Jeffrey Dahmer is the dude that played him in the Netflix special. I can't think of his name. Something Evan something. That's Jeffrey Dahmer. Proved it with facial markings. So they don't, Jeffrey Dahmer didn't get beaten to death in jail, just like Jeffrey Epstein didn't hang himself or get beaten, just like John Wayne Gacy didn't get lethal injection. All of them are alive. I just don't know if they're guilty of what the TV says they are or if that's a total fear tactic hoax. Ted Bundy is right on that list too. A lot of people think Ted Bundy was played by George Bush Jr. I haven't agreed to that one yet, but well, yeah, Ruby, that's what I'm getting at. Ruby Red, that is exactly what I'm saying. I don't like, and I said this earlier, like Benjamin Franklin, he looks like a vampire. Like if you look at the pic, like he just looks like a vampire. He looks like Christian Bale's mouth, but that's what I was saying earlier is like Christian Bale had a body found in his yard. Benjamin Franklin did. Maybe these serial killers, maybe they're all a bunch of serial killers, but these ones getting caught are just, they put it in the limelight because too many people know about it. They have to go do a fake trial and then fake execute them. And then they just recirculate them back in a new body, not a new body, but a new role, like freaking Garth Brooks. My uncle knew Jeffrey in elementary school. Yeah, that's wild. Well, and that's what I mean too, is like, not all these vampires are fallen angels. Some of these people were real kids and real people and grew up and I think sold their soul and probably drank fallen angel blood, and like I said earlier, I can't prove that stuff. I can prove people fake their deaths and come back as other people with facial markings. I can prove the earth is flat. I can prove we're living on a stationary enclosed system, but I can't prove how these vampires, fallen angels do what they do. Yeah, Chad, I don't really use amen a lot. I'll write it once in a while, but yeah, I do. I don't use amen a lot. I don't I don't even really use God a lot anymore because I've seen Godriel. I pray to the Heavenly Father, the Most High. Sometimes I don't, like Jesus is in there once in a while, but like I feel like you can't go wrong with Heavenly Father. That's my personal opinion. That's who I pray to a lot. Amy Winehouse and Lady Gaga video was amazing. Thank you. Is my recent one where I also included Liza Minnelli or my old one? Which one are you talking about there? Probably the new one, I'm guessing. Tina Turner is Billie Eilish. I don't know about that one. I think Billie Eilish is Sydney Sweeney. I think I proved that one too. Let's see. I'm just looking for something. I've been on a while. My eyes are starting to hurt, so I'm gonna wrap this up relatively soon, guys. Thoughts on Michael Jackson? Michael Jackson. So that was one of my favorite videos I did because it was the first time I felt like an actual detective. Hold on, I don't want to miss that. Chanty, you're welcome. I appreciate your kindness. But so Michael Jackson, I feel like I was the first one to like prove that he didn't die, is because there was a video kind of circulating of a coroner's van that was recorded, and it like opened up and someone who moved and looked exactly like Michael Jackson with like a pillowcase on his head got out and took it off, and then he goes into a door. And it's like, but is that like, was that real? Was that fake? Was that a different thing? But what I did was I found the license plate on that video, and it was like really hard to do. And then I spent like 5 hours looking for video because there was a helicopter that video recorded Michael Jackson coming out in a in a gurney, in body bag, and then putting him in a coroner's vehicle. And I was just able to get the license plate on that, and they matched. So it was like, yeah, Michael Jackson's alive. I don't know. I did a video speculating he was this guy on TikTok. And that sounds crazy, but once you know that Robin Williams is a guy on TikTok 1000%, then maybe Michael Jackson's doing it. And Tupac is a guy on TikTok. Tupac is 1000% a dude that is on TikTok all the time. Khalil the MC. He was also in Jurassic 5, the band Jurassic 5, with Biggie. Biggie was in that band too. Something I something I just found crazy on my own was that orange juice popularity skyrocketed and the Simpsons show became popular the same time as OJ Simpson trial. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. That is very interesting actually. That's one, guys, when you realize, well, like obviously the globe deception opens your eyes a lot. You're like, if they can lie about that, what can they lie? What else can they lie about? But then when you figure out that they're faking celebrity deaths, that opens your mind a lot. But not only are they faking celebrity deaths by like suicide and car accidents and drug overdoses, but they're faking celebrity murders. Like once I proved OJ didn't kill Megyn Kelly, but they did a year-long court case on it, like that's like, if they'll go to those lengths to deceive people, what else are they doing? And then I wonder, here's where my brain goes, is that even real? Was that court case just all AI? Because they've had AI forever. They just released it to us recently, but they've had it forever. So, like, did they actually sit there and go through the fake court case for a year? Like, that's wild if they do that. Some of me really thinks it's AI, and like anything we saw was just nonsense. But maybe not, because, like the Diddy case, they didn't even show. They just showed, like, because they said it was like whatever the law was, they couldn't show it. But it's because there was no case. Diddy became Kai Cenat. He's already, done his Abrina thing or his age regression thing. He's a new dude already. Yeah, anything to keep us distracted and occupied for sure. Was Garo on here? Is he saying mean things? I just saw someone say, do your own thing. Fittest Flat Earther is better than you anyway. Let's see. All right, guys. One more question here. Yeah, that's all right to say the only way into heaven is through Jesus. That's cool. I'm not, I don't disagree with that. Tiffany, yeah. My Facebook subscribers are saying we need a spreadsheet of who's playing who used to be who. I don't know if it's possible. Well, I guess you could, because it could be, you would have to do like a diagram because each, like it would branch off. It wouldn't just be like, Brad Pitt is Benicio del Toro. It would be like Brad Pitt played Benicio del Toro and Leonardo DiCaprio played Benicio del Toro, and now Brad Pitt, in my opinion, is Austin Butler. So it's like, I mean, it would be a nightmare of a diagram because their whole game is deception. Been writing them. Michelle, that's awesome. Yeah, you could, if you just did the people who faked their death and came back as other people, it'd be a nice, neat diagram. But you also got to, like, trying to think who the first person I figured out, not only that they died, faked their death once and became someone, but then faked their death another time and became, I can't remember who that was. It was someone really recent where they figured out who they became and then who they became again. And I'm losing my thoughts on who it was. Thought my dog was about to start barking at me. All right, guys, slowing down a little bit. Any last questions? I'm here for, well, here, let's see. Someone, oh no, that's an old one. Am I thinking of Julie? No, it was a guy. It was a guy. But yeah, that was recently. I do think that Judy Garland became the woman on Big and then also became Millie Bobby Brown. But no, who was it? Give me a second. Let me just be lame and boring for a second and let my brain see if I can remember. It's not coming to me. Got too many serial killers on my mind. Trying to get rid of something on the screen here and it won't go away. All right. One last question here. Hey, Katie, BC, yes, thank you. Katie from Facebook nailed it. Thank you for coming on. It was Steve Irwin. Yes, exactly. It was John Denver became Steve Irwin, became Steve Backshall. I would have never thought of that one. It was just like absent from my memory. Thank you, Katie. Katie, you're another one. I was telling Tiffany, man, a few of you guys need to like love you in the community. I love you, what you share. But a few of you guys, we need some more women truthers out there who are true and honest and fearless and putting this stuff out there. You guys should really consider starting a page and doing some stuff, I understand if not, but you guys have a knack for it for sure. More than a lot of people I've seen. All right. Haven't found Aaron Carter. All right, guys. I was looking for one more question, but I have not seen the movie Him yet. I should watch it. There is so much truth in that, I'm sure, but I have not seen it. You know what? The Corey Feldman is Charlie Sheen thing. So I think I don't love to do things that other people do. Unless I feel like I can add something very valuable to it. I don't love, a lot of people will just see other people's stuff and repost it. There's a lot of people that just don't care about ripping people off. I enjoy discovery. I enjoy research. I enjoy creating a story for people to understand. And like if let me say this. I think Charlie Sheen and Corey Feldman are two unique individuals. Now, that doesn't mean that one of them couldn't be putting on a Charlie Sheen mask or vice versa and playing each other, just like Ellen is freaking playing Bradley Cooper. But I don't know. That would be a hard one to prove because if they do have facial prosthetics on, you can't find marks. It would have to be like arm markings, and that's tough because those aren't guys that are like going around in short sleeve shirts and stuff. So, Dave Chappelle, someone just sent me who Dave Chappelle used to be, and I cannot think, but he is definitely a vampire, definitely a recycled character. And like when you see the person he used to be, there's zero doubt, but he's not someone I'm overly familiar with, and I can't think who it is. But he was someone for sure. All right, guys, I think I'm going to call it a day. Just seeing if there's one last thing. Okay. Oh, here, this is the last two I'll answer because I just see easy question or easy names. So Bruce Willis, I don't know if I did a video or just like a short post, but man, why are names escaping me today? Bruce Willis is playing the Bob Odenkirk. So what about Saul or Better Call Saul? That's who Bruce Willis is these days. But I think those are prosthetics. I don't think he's like a lot of these people when they fake their death, they either are shapeshifters or they get facial procedures done. But Bruce Willis is faking sick, so no one's worrying about where he is because he's playing Bob Odenkirk. Bob Odenkirk, the nobody, the Better Call Saul, the guy from, the lawyer from Breaking Bad. And then the Britney Spears thing. I did a Britney Spears video. Katie, thank you. I appreciate it, Katie. Right back at you, my friend. I did a Britney Spears video probably 2 weeks ago. All that stuff about her being like locked at home with her dad and blah, 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 blah. It's all fake distraction so people don't realize she's already made her transfer she's playing someone different, totally different. And I can't think of her name, but, what's her name? She's in some of the Avengers movies. She's like Captain America's like love interest or the love interest's daughter. I can't think of her name. But just go watch the video. Like if you find my page and scroll for like 30 seconds, you'll find it. It's just, I think I said it's whoops, I did it again. Like whoops, I found another. I've started to find these people. Usually at first it was like all fake deaths and I was finding fake deaths, but now I'm starting to find people. Like I think Brad Pitt is not Brad Pitt anymore. I think he's Austin Butler. And I think just like Bradley Cooper is being played by other people. But I don't think they always fake their deaths to make the transition. And I think that's part of the prosthetics and masks is they can't fake deaths all the time. Sometimes they have to like continue. Like Liza Minnelli, I think, transferred to someone else. Like Liza Minnelli's still alive in the limelight, but I don't think she's actually who she is anymore. She's being played by different people. All right, though, it's been an hour and a half. My eyes are cashed. So I appreciate, no, I am not single. I am happily married. Thanks for asking, though. That's it. I'm going to take off. I'm going to try to do these at least once or twice a week. I'm not good about letting people know advance timing of it, but just be on the lookout. Usually I would do it around 6 or 7 at night. So guys, much love. Thanks for joining me, especially those of you that stayed with for all 95 minutes. Much love. See you next time, and check out a new video probably coming tomorrow. Have a great night, guys. Take care.